Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is good to see all of you. Let's begin as we do each week with a heart tap as people are entering the room. Go into gallery view. It is 6:01, so we'd like to begin with a short video that Maddie prepared for our synagogue. As we've been meeting throughout the year for Bar Mitzvah services, and our Gan Elohim has been in session, but we haven't used our building for programmatic needs other than those until this week. So we begin. It was so good to see people return to our building to do mitzvot. We're looking forward to seeing all of you in the days and weeks to come. Hopefully for a number of mitzvot, we're still collecting food for family table, caring for those in need. And so we hope to see you in our building soon. Let's begin. Shabbat Shalom. Let's begin with the nigun. It is great to see everyone on this beautiful day as we welcome Shabbat together. Now that we've all gathered, Perhaps we can begin once again with a heart tap. We encourage you to go into gallery view if you're able on the top right of the screen as we welcome Shabbat. And so, Rabbi Sapphire, I see you have Shabbat candles, and anyone else on Zoom who has Shabbat candles, we invite you to light them in front of us. And if we see them on the camera, you may see yourself on the camera as well as we join together to welcome Shabbat.
So I am lighting my grandmother's Shabbat candlesticks tonight, recalling Shabbatot that have passed in my family. So hopefully as we light these candles tonight, you too are thinking about the light and warmth memories of Shabbat past, bringing in this Shabbat as we enter a new time as well. Let's join together.
Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Let's continue with the service that we know as Kabbalat Shabbat, as we receive and welcome Shabbat with the words of Shalom Aleichem. We'll return to gallery view.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zeitchem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So let's continue with Lecha Dodi.
Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha Hishme'anu el ha'miuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem ultiferet v'li tehila Lecha Dodi Likrat we invite you to please rise in body or spirit as we greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala, kol echad odi likrat kala, o pnei Shabbat nekabela, kol echad odi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, pnei Shabbat
We return to gallery view, recognizing the many places from which we come. In this moment, we take a deep breath and center ourselves as one community before God as we continue with words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We join together now for the Hashiki prayer, a prayer that asks for God to keep us safe from all of the keep us safe from life's storms and to be sheltered, but to also keep some shelter, from all the other things, to keep love. Make sure we have some love. Make sure we have peace and understanding that can protect us in these troubling times. Let's join together for Let There Be Love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashiki v'einu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashiki v'einu, le'shalom. V'ha'amideinu, shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha. Hashki v'einu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashki v'einu, le'shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let shelter from life's storm.
Let's join together for the Amidah, for the center of our prayer service, a moment where we just get to sit, be calm, listen to the meditations of our heart, make any sort of requests that are needed. And so we'll open up our chat box in a few moments for any requests, any moments of gratitude, things that you are bringing into Shabbat this week. I'm looking outside. There's lots of sun and lots of trees. I'm grateful for that. So whatever else you're holding on to this week, we'll join together as we ask for our lips to be wide open so that we can hear and declare all of our praises. Let's join together. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach V'yagid Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tiftach V'yagid Tehilatecha Open up our lips that we may praise your name. Open up our hearts that we may feel our pain. Open up our souls and let our love make us whole. We will praise your name, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach V'yagid Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tiftach V'yagid Tehilatecha. Take a few moments for your own personal meditation.
And before we continue with the words of Oseh Shalom, I just want to mention that, of course, this week we witnessed an important trial in our nation. Some are calling it not just a seminal moment in the struggle for civil rights, but I heard someone call it a Selma moment, a moment that has the potential to wake up our nation to do the hard work at hand. But as we all know, it will require work, much work. And that is what we're committed to as a temple community, doing sacred work. And I just want to call attention to this time to our racial justice initiative. It's an incredible committee of about 250 people who continue to do such important work. And so at this time, I'd like to really single out some of their upcoming initiatives. Beginning on May 6th, there's a Story Starters event for engaging parents and kids on conversations about race. I guess I'm going backwards because April 26th on a Monday night, we have part 2 of a discussion of the book Caste, a very important read. On May 9th, on Sunday, a virtual Mother's Day Walk for Peace with the Louis D. Brown Peace Initiative at 9 a.m. And then on Monday, May 24th, what will be the first anniversary of George Floyd's murder, there will be a special gathering outside at TBE entitled Say Their Names, an Evening of Remembrance and Hope. And there'll be much more information to follow. So we hope you'll get involved. Let us join together in these words, may peace come to us, to all Israel, to all peoples of the world.
Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Let's continue with our prayer for healing, for those in need of healing of body, of soul, of mind, by using the chat room below and entering the names of those individuals we're thinking of at this time.
Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
And of course, each Shabbat, we give thanks for those sacred moments in life we've shared during the past week. And so if you have celebrated a birthday this past week, we invite you to raise your hands so that we can identify you on Zoom. Anyone celebrate a birthday? as I scroll through. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I know my aunt's on and she's celebrating her birthday tomorrow. So happy
Hey.
birthday, Aunt Barbara.
Special shout out. How about anniversaries? Mazel tov. How about, I must admit, Cantor, so I visit hospital rooms all the time, but many people don't know I am very squeamish. And this week, it was the first time I gave blood. So I want to say Shehechianu. Anyone else give blood for the very first time? I made it thanks to Larry and a number of volunteers from the temple community. And I can say it was incredibly gratifying. So I just want to thank our committee for bringing the blood drive to our temple this week. And anyone else who gave blood. Anyone who did a mitzvah this week or noticed something new or had a first experience. I see some hands. Let's give thanks to God with these words.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Thank you, Cantor. So I'd like to share a few words this evening. For as many of you know, we've started to experiment on Friday evenings, sometimes returning to the sanctuary to explore what we're calling a new hybrid experience, with the hopes that someday soon we'll have people back in the sanctuary, while at the same time enabling others to join us from home. We're not going back, we like to say. We're only going forward, taking what we've learned from these past 14 months about the world, about our synagogue, about ourselves, to strengthen us in the days ahead. And I have to admit that personally, I've learned something about myself these past 14 months, actually about my spiritual life. And I never thought I'd say this, but it's that I like Zoom. I really like Zoom. Now, don't get me wrong, I miss being in the sanctuary. I miss the hugs and the informal conversation. I miss the collective laughter of a congregation. And I miss the unexpected and unplanned moments of encounter that our building brings. And yet, when I think about my own spirituality, I realize that I love the opportunity to see you on Zoom. I love seeing Drew Ganitsky eating his string beans while sitting in his high chair with his sisters doing hand motions behind. Before you know it, he'll be a bar mitzvah. I love seeing the Morrises and Hoadleys sitting at their Shabbat table and Justin and Wendy unwinding after a busy week. I like seeing Eric sitting comfortably in his office chair and Michaela rushing home from work in New York City with her iPhone on, capturing the large buildings behind. And I love seeing Joan and Steve waving to their grandchildren. I still think they have some secret hand signals that they're unwilling to share, but I haven't been able to get anyone in the family to spill the beans. I love seeing you in Florida and in California, even in the hospital room. I love seeing your faces. So many faces each week filling my computer screen. It's actually crazy how it all happened 14 months ago. Many don't know it. We couldn't plan it this way. For 14 months ago, every synagogue was streaming services, meaning once the pandemic hit, they'd place the rabbis and cantor in an empty sanctuary and stream the service with no one there, so that everyone could kind of look in and watch it on Facebook Live or the internet. But as you know, we did something very different at the time, something that most of us had never heard of before, and that was called Zoom. Don't try it, Rabbi, the technology consultants often told us. It will crash, they said. You can't have that many boxes on a computer screen. People will unmute themselves unknowingly, they told us, and it will be uncomfortable. It wasn't meant for worship. And remember, you can't even see the prayer book. And we at the temple all looked at each other and said, okay, let's do it anyway. Because at this time of isolation, the spirituality will not be found in the prayer book. It will be found in our faces. So let's try Zoom. And I am so grateful that we did. There are 43 separate muscles in the human face, I'm told. I must admit, I never realized how beautifully complicated the human face could be until we had to hide half of it underneath a mask. And suddenly, even my iPhone that lives in my pocket and literally sleeps near my bed couldn't even recognize me. I learned you need all 43 separate muscles, moving and twitching and connecting to the brain to reveal the complexity of human emotion, to reveal the uniqueness and sacredness of the soul. Perhaps I should have known this about the face, because we learn this from the Torah at the very end of Deuteronomy, in what I believe is perhaps the most striking verse in the entire Torah, when it speaks of Moses at the very end of the scroll. It says, never again did there arise in Israel a prophet like Moses, who spoke to God face to face. It's such an unusual verse for a religion like Judaism, whose central notion is that God has no human form. And yet it says Moses spoke to God face to face, meaning this, not that he saw God's face, but that he experienced the greatest of intimacy, the greatest of connection. Face to face means I see you. I see all of you. We are connected as one. And Moses wasn't the first one to see God's face. If we look at the Torah, it comes earlier, the story of Jacob, our forefather, in the book of Genesis, when he's running from Esau, his brother, actually fleeing from him, because you may remember Jacob stole Esau's blessing and birthright. And so he's fleeing and fleeing, running and running, until finally, out of breath, he stops and lays down. And we're told he wrestles with some sort of being, an ish in Hebrew. Jacob is having a spiritual struggle. And when he wakes up, he names that place Penuel, meaning I have seen God's face. And it's then and only then, after the spiritual awakening, that he wakes up and can run towards his brother, a changed man. Jacob actually brings gifts to his brother and asks for forgiveness. He says to Esau, who are all these people around you? And Esau says to him, these are my children. And Jacob, realizing that so much time has passed, so much lost time, hugs his brother and cries on his shoulder and says, to see your face is to see the face of God. I once read an article that hotel maids, or the men and women who clean in hotel rooms, receive the worst tips in the entire service industry. It's hard to believe, because if you think about it, you leave your car at a valet and you might give that person $1 or $2, even more, for bringing back your car. But the maid, the one who cleans your room, scrubs your toilet, picks up your wet towel, moves your socks, changes your sheets, very often only gets a few bits of change, if anything at all. And why? Well, they did a study, and it's because people don't see them. They don't see the face. I actually think in many ways, that's what made the killing of George Floyd so troubling. Because after all, many people have died at the hands of police officers, as we all know. But this time we saw his face. We heard his face. There's a power to the face. And so I want you to join me in a spiritual exercise. It's not another prayer, but it's actually the spirituality of Zoom. It's to go into gallery view if you're able. Most of you know how to do it by now. It's usually on the top right. And I want you to simply look at the faces, because that's the page of our prayer book. I want you to look at the faces and take them in. And then if you're able, without leaving the room by pressing that red button, turn off your camera. If you're able to turn off your camera now. We've never done this, but I'm told it actually works. Are you able to turn off your camera? It says stop video at the bottom. And now, after about 10 seconds, turn it on again. Can you turn it on? I'm told that you'll see a whole new group of faces. Take them in. To see your face is to see the face of God. This week, our Torah portion is called Acharimot Kedoshim. It's a very unusual Torah portion. It's actually two portions smushed together because there were too many portions for the weeks of the year. And so they placed two portions together, Acharimot, meaning after the death, and Kedoshim, meaning holiness. And of course, the rabbis commented there's a reason for that. And that's because after death, we need to make sure there's holiness. And my friends, we've seen a lot of death lately. And we need to make sure now, 14 months later, comes holiness. Lots and lots of holiness. Soon, God willing, we're going to return to our building, physically and in masks, just as we did this week with the blood drive. We're going to return in small numbers, adhering to state guidelines, but we're going to do a lot of holiness together, caring for each other, reaching out to those in need, transforming the world just as we've done long before the pandemic. But I also want you to know we're going to move forward and take what we've learned these past 14 months and not just return to the sanctuary, but make sure that we can see each other by gathering on Zoom. Times when we can take off the masks and see the face of God. We're working hard to be able to do this. There's a lot of experimentation that needs to take place before we can have services in the sanctuary and on Zoom. But we're working hard, even thinking about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, with the hopes that, yes, we'll be in the sanctuary, and yes, we'll be on Zoom. And so I want to thank everyone who has worked so hard this year to allow us to do this sacred work together. I want to thank those who have offered their financial support to expand our technology. Because what I've learned is that this can work, that a community can come together from far and wide and experience God's presence. Next week, we're going to celebrate many of these individuals and honor them in our evening of gratitude. My sense is that we are headed into a period of gratitude, gratitude like we've never seen it before. Gratitude for hugs, gratitude for just being able to eat in a restaurant one day, gratitude for coming into the synagogue. But please know I have gratitude for you and the ability to see you on Zoom. So I look forward to seeing you next week on Zoom. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha kirot pnei Elohim. Ki al kain ra'iti fanecha B'nei Elohim. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Thank you, Cantor. As you were singing, I was scrolling through the gallery view.
So certainly, holiness is also found in memory. And so this Shabbat, I invite those of you who are here in observance of a yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, or in a period of mourning, as we open the chat box to place the names of the loved ones that we're remembering this week on this Shabbat. And we recall those who have in our community died in the last 30 days. Lucille Binderman, the mother of Ann Falchuk and grandmother of Wendy Falchuk. Faye Boren, the mother of Karen Kinsella. Faye Cohen, the mother of Jeffrey Cohen. Lois Foster, the mother of Neil and James Foster. Ronald Frederick, the father of Kimberly Snapper. Faye Mascot Goldberg, who is not yet interred, is the mother of Brad Bloom. Marilyn Goldman, the mother of Jerry Goldman. Frances Granoff, the mother of George Granoff. Vera Halpern, the mother of Adam Halpern. Also who is not yet interred, Elaine Carlin, the sister of Deanna Spielberg. Harvey Peters, the brother of Jane Evans. William Shiowitz, the father of Kara Friedman. And Donald Tuck, the brother of Jerry Tuck. We also, this Shabbat, have been asked to recite the names of Miriam Bobroff, the mother of Karen Bobroff, Henry Burstein, the father-in-law of Mimi Burstein, Alan Hecht, the brother of Joanne Zager, David Ifshin, the brother of Vicky Zell, and Timothy Pettit, the grandson of Edith White. And so together as a community of mourners, if you are observing a yahrzeit or if it is your custom or are in a period of mourning, I invite you to rise if you are able as we recite these sacred words together. Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
And so before we count the Omer this Shabbat, there are a lot of announcements. All of the programs through the Racial Justice Initiative that Rabbi Sistenwein shared earlier, along with a number of programs this week, T-Bell and extraordinary sessions of T-Bell are continuing and ongoing. And Thursday is Lag BaOmer, Rabbi Sapphire.
Yes, thank you. So we have been counting the Omer since Pesach, and I cannot believe that Thursday is already the 33rd day of the Omer. Thursday night starts the 33rd day. It's a minor holiday, lesser known holiday that we are going to celebrate in our temple parking lot around our bonfires. So all are welcome. Please just make sure to register. And I am going to toss it to our high school intern, Zach. We are all reshuffled, so I can't see you, but go ahead and unmute as
I am here, Rabbi. Thank you so much. Yes, I am so incredibly excited to announce that next Thursday, alongside Asher Novisky, we are going to be releasing the first installment of our new TBE online music series, A to Zmirot, the Hebrew word for songs. So I hope you will tune in. It will be on Facebook and Instagram and in your inboxes soon. See you next Thursday.
Thank you, Zach. And after next Shabbat, after our evening of gratitude on Sunday, May 2nd at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, TBE Voices for Pluralistic and Democratic Israel, along with our partnership with the New Israel Fund, are presenting a really extraordinary and interesting session on Israeli Black Panthers and the Israeli Black Panther movement and the forgotten history around them. And so I hope that you will check out all of our offerings on Zoom, where we can see each other's faces. So let us count the Omer together. Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. So let us count together. Hayom shiv'a ve'esrim yom, shehem shlosha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is 27 days, which is 3 weeks and 6 days of the Omer.
Thank you, Rabbi. So we are counting from Passover, our celebration of freedom, up towards Shavuot on the 50th day, the giving of the Torah. And so we march along. So thank you. Let us now turn to Kiddush. Cantor, will you lead us? And this is a holiday week, as Monday was Patriots Day, which is hard to believe without the marathon. But and so there's no bar mitzvah this weekend, but I see a number of Kiddush cups being raised in the air. So perhaps we can spotlight a few as we join together.
Rabbi, you scared me when you said holiday. I was like, oh no, am I forgetting a special bracha for this holiday? But now I'm with you. So let's show a Kiddush cup and we can join together in Kiddush. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodsho קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim.
Amen. And soon we'll spotlight some people with their challah. So get your challahs out. Cantor, I should say the holiday was Patriots Day.
Yeah.
And we'll know you're a true Bostonian when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Lexington and see the recreation of the shot that was heard around the world. Do you think that will ever happen?
I'm not gonna lie. Josh did mention it to me this past year. So maybe 4 a.m.'s early, Rabbi, but there is hope for all of us. So let's join together with a beautiful challah in our midst. I've seen some on Instagram. Amazing. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Hi, Nava.
It's great to see everyone take a bite. Let's open up the microphones and wish each other Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you next week for our evening of gratitude.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
On Tuesday. Margie Nesson.
Correct, yeah.
You did a very good job, Zach. Very proud of you. Good, Margie. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, Ozzy.
Shabbat Shalom, Deborah. Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, we're in Sapphire.
Are you home?
Shabbat shalom to the Nabisky family. Shabbat shalom, we're in Sapphire.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Harold Salter.
I want it.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Elsie.
Hi, Julie.
I'll try.
Hi,
Shalom, Julie.
Old Debbie Friedman melody.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Julie. Hi, Julie.
Shabbat Shalom, Ella.
This is so boring.
Marilyn, are you home? God, I just saw you at the service, you know. I can't believe it. How are you feeling? Really?